Honorable Ministers of State, members of the Diplomatic Corps, parliamentarians, Synergy Global Holdings Limited, my colleagues from the Ministry of Finance, invited guests, participants, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this conference. Let me start by congratulating the organizers of this conference, Synergy Global Holdings Limited, the Investment Banking Consortium, and my own ministry, the directorate headed by Mrs. Magda Penting, for working tirelessly to pull this conference through in spite of the numerous challenges, including, as has already been said, the recent Ebola scare, which almost threatened the successful takeoff of this conference. Our gathering here this morning underscores the importance of that government places on working with the private sector to close the ever-yawning infrastructure gap using public-private partnership as an alternative source of financing. Our medium-term annual infrastructure gap has been estimated at about 1.5 billion United States dollars, having regard to the fact that our annual budgetary allocations, as well as the public investment program, has limited resources to continually bridge this gap. The Ministry of Finance therefore launched the national policy on PPP 2 years ago. In order to bring full effect to this policy, government, in consultation with private and public sector practitioners, put together the PPP law, which is expected to be passed by Parliament before the end of this year. The draft law, which has been widely discussed and finalized with various stakeholder groups, is aimed at providing a clear and consistent process for all aspects of project development, structuring, and implementation. These measures have been put in place to engender the requisite confidence of both the public and private sectors to work together under a guided framework within which risks and rewards would be adequately distributed in a manner which both parties would derive the necessary benefits and value for money. The development of PPPs within the ministry is to demonstrate to the private sector that government was ready to tap into the wealth of experience, knowledge, and ready capital accumulated by the private sector in accelerating the country's infrastructure development. PPP are long-term in nature and transcend governments, which gives some private investors worry about what happens when government changes. I wish to assure all investors that the PPP framework, together with the draft law, provides adequate protection to investors, irrespective of which government is in power. The ministry has initiated several policy documents, including the key policy framework, the national PPP policy, and the legal framework needed for the effective takeoff of the PPP program in Ghana. However, there are still some imminent challenges, especially in the area of adequate project preparation activities, as alluded to by Mrs. Penting, that would ensure the smooth and rapid takeoff of the projects already identified in some priority sectors, including the roads, transport, health, agriculture, sports, and even accommodation, office and residential, and also water and sanitation. We concede that PPP is not necessarily the easiest and quickest alternative to the solution of closing the infrastructure deficit, as it requires commitment on both sides of the public and private sector to achieve the speed required in project execution. In this regard, the ministry has set up various PPP units in respective ministries and has over the period continually provided capacity building through courses, seminars, study tours, and conferences of this nature to bring the public sector up to speed with the complex nature within which this laudable alternative source of funding infrastructure can be achieved. Going forward, we crave the indulgence and commitment of all scheduled officers in the public service to be very vigilant and assiduous in ensuring that all project preparation processes are diligently carried out to ensure smooth implementation of all sector-identified PPP projects. It is important to note that once projects have been well prepared, they are very easily and effectively implemented. The next challenge we face is the provision of well-resourced and meticulous officers who would ensure that once projects have started, they can be monitored and subsequently evaluated to ensure that all key performance indicators and requirements are met, with the requisite important returns to both the users and providers of the service. We therefore urge you all to take part and be fully involved in all the deliberations of the conference so that we'll be able to identify the gaps and also be able to consider the suggestions that you will come up with to improve the activities that we have already begun. Your Excellency is not here today, but ladies and gentlemen, honorable ministers, all the participants here, thank you very much for attending, for participating, and God bless Ghana.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Mona Korte, our Deputy Minister for Finance.